So hello everyone. We had a session yesterday, a QHHT session that we did together, and we got to experience the seventh dimension. And I'm
Oh,
really curious to ask Bonnie after that session, just how did you feel? Did you notice anything after? What was your experience last night?
well, can I start by talking about what occurred during the session?
Sure. Well, yeah,
That's what
let's do that.
caught my attention. So I participated in half of if those don't know, QHHT is Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. So it was a client of Sasha's, and she participated in the first 2 hours of it, where they were discussing, what they wanted to learn more about themselves. And I came in when it came to the actual time for the induction into the hypnosis and then the hypnosis portion, and just barely got in the room, and I immediately felt something different than I ever felt before. And for me, what'll happen is my body will start to wiggle or sway and move, and it's frequency. I'm feeling a heightened frequency. It can almost feel like it's difficult to stay in the body. So I was doing my best to keep composure, and then I had some unique things that occurred. I instantly, had a runny nostril. There were just things going on that weren't of the norm, and so then we experienced a profound session. It was discovered or discussed during that we were talking with a seventh dimensional being or entity, and there were periods of time where I was telling Sasha yesterday, I literally felt like I was trying to force myself to stay in my body. It was extremely challenging at times. And again, I don't think we knew it was seventh dimension till later on. Was it later on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then even then, I don't think when I heard that, I really got the full comprehension of what that meant, or why I was reacting. But so after the session, and normally I feel a sense of high. I'm high during the sessions and after. I was extremely high after this one. How about you?
The same. And it's interesting because during her pre-talk, when I was just sitting and talking with her, so when higher frequencies are coming in, I actually feel rather than like I'm gonna float or leave my body, it's funny because I feel the opposite. I feel like I'm being smushed, like it
Mm.
feels real heavy, almost like I want to lay down. And so in the pre-talk, that's how I started feeling. And I even went in my mind, oh no, what is going to happen? Because I know usually after those kinds of intense sessions, the next day can be hard for me.
Challenging.
But that after that one, yeah, I felt very vibrant and just high, like high. You feel high. You feel,
Well, and I do want to rephrase, because maybe I didn't quite say it right, but there's a sensation. I kept feeling as though I was bigger than my body. That makes sense. And like
mm,
I was smushed, and it was like it was squeezing out. That's the sensation, I guess, more accurate. And yes, I also several times I kept hearing, just lay on the floor, just lay on the floor.
yeah.
I thought, why? That's not professional.
No, it can't be like,
But
I'll ask you questions from
I
the
just
floor.
could have, yeah, I just could have gone face down on the floor and just laid there. And then afterwards, right afterwards, while you were still talking with her, that's when I went outside and took my shoes off and put my feet on the ground. And they said, just get out and touch the ground. And so I sat in that chair in the sunlight with my feet on the ground. And it just, because I needed to get back in my body is what it felt like. So it was, yeah, it was intense. And then
Mhm.
later, I did get some more insight on that, some downloads that came in. And it was sharing that we were able to access that because we've spent quite a bit of time, in 5D or closer to 5D. A 3D, someone that's, firmly planted in 3D would not have been able to accommodate. I mean, I barely, held it together
Mhm.
during that. So, but it was almost like a test to see how we handled it, and that there's more to come, and there's even higher dimensional frequencies that are wanting to come through. It's just that, can they take it? For me, they call it voltage. Can they take the voltage?
Yeah, it's so interesting because in the years of hypnotherapy or healing type work that I've experienced, I've never, well, I can't say never, but the physical response that I have to QHHT sessions, especially when it's an interdimensional being coming through is so visceral. And I used to think there was something wrong with me. I must have a lot of blocks, or I have so much stuff I need to release. And that was the same thing that came through today to me was, no, it's just you're going from 3D frequency and then you're experience this 7D frequency, and the physical body is just not built for that. So it's okay to need a day to rest and to feel the physical feelings, and it just kind of is what it is. But I'm really glad we do meditate and work on experiencing those higher frequencies, because maybe it would take 3 or 4 days.
Well, and it used to. I used to get knocked out for a while, and it's not as I'm also finding too that I'm learning pretty rapidly now, or fast paced here, how to just the body care and what. And I'm also, I think we talked about this too. I'm noticing I'm sensing things in the body prior to these powerful sessions. I'll be extremely hot, and so upwards of an hour or so prior, there's unusual. There's no rationale, no biological rationale for the extreme heat I'm sensing, or the need to take off sweaters and shirts and trying to accommodate, and then something powerful happens thereafter. So and I'm sure we're being readied or acclimated to be able to accept. But I would love to have another visit with the client and see how we will be. But I'm excited about that visit to see how she's doing, and because that was a powerful experience. And without saying too much, I will share that we got to talk about Andromeda, the Andromeda galaxy and planet. And that's something that I have an awareness of, or a history, an awareness that that I'm also there while I'm here. And so there were questions asked about that. And then today, a lot more has been coming in on that. So that's been my rabbit hole today.
Oh, are you able to share without?
Well, yes, I can. So, do you want me to share
without giving too much of the client information?
No, I won't.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I was some months back, I was asleep. I have these experiences where I don't say that I wake up. It's just that during sleep, I am brought to an awareness that's even stronger than awake. There'll be all of a sudden, like I pop into an awareness. My eyes are still shut, though. For all appearances, I'm sure I look like I'm asleep. But in this awareness, I was a very heightened awareness. I was being sucked down what I can only describe as like a big tube. And there were what looked like stars and things in it, and I was literally, it was like I was just like swirling down it, going whoa, flailing, and then there's a conversation that takes place, and so and I'm observing it. The conversation was me asking, well, what's going on here? And then the answer was, you're going to Andromeda. And that's the first, and I've never ever said the word, thought the word. I didn't even really know what I don't think I knew what Andromeda was at all. But when this stuff comes through, I have an awareness that it's a place. I know that when the words come through that I'm not familiar with, there's a knowing that it's either a thing or a place. So I knew it was a place. And then I remember, this part of me going, what am I doing going there? Just about that time, as the answers coming through, I was popping out the other end of, the tube, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm popping into a massive, I guess the word, I don't really want to call it a room. There was just a big, massive white area, and I'm plunking into it. And as I'm landing in there, I hear, you're going to the Galactic Federation meeting. You're part of the Galactic, Council. And that was like, what? And there are beings all around me. It appeared to be like a circle. And we're talking somewhere between 50 and 100. It was massive beings. And I remember they were perfectly placed about every, I would guesstimate, like 4 feet apart. And they were all different shapes, sizes, and different types of beings. Some had what looked like a uniform on, some were, I don't remember, it looked like an official, like they were there on, important or official purposes. And I plunk what feels like in the center of it, because I can see the half the circle around me in front. And my immediate response or reaction was I wanted to get in line with them. And I was blocked and said, no, you stay in the middle. And I'm going, no, I didn't want to be the center. And it said, no, you have to be there because you're in charge. And then that's all. So it was what? And then there was a flash of, you're like the, I don't know, general count, command, whatever it was, I was in charge of a Galactic Federation. And then I'm like, what is this all about? And it said, well, we're a committee that's preparing Earth to meet their galactic brothers and sisters that are going to be coming and introducing themselves soon. And anyway, so, and it does tie back to information that came through in my QHHT session with you about the black box that was up here in my, I call it cranial area. That was kind of it was a place for gathering intel for this process, and also a homing beacon so that they could find me. So anyway, that's Bonnie's wild and exposure. And after that, I tried looking up Andromeda, and there really is literally nothing. It just talks about a galaxy. There's even on Gaia TV, where there was there's nothing on Gaia. And so I was like, because I wanted her to know more. Got nothing. So this client that, again, you were so nice to share the experience with me. I step in midway through, and there's conversation about Andromeda, and my whole being, the minute that came out, my whole being, it was like electricity shot through me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't tell you this yesterday, but I heard the words, here's your door, here's your opening. Mm-hmm. And it's your session, you've got her questions, so I'm not going to interrupt it. But it was hard, I had to hold back, and eventually they just spoke through me and started, when there were pauses in your conversation with her, they pulled through some, and it was questions at first. Mm-hmm. And the questions, actually, they reminded me of the questions, because we didn't know at that time that Andromeda was, did we know it was involved? I don't think we did. The questions first started asking about other planets, and then it was divulged that it was in the Andromeda galaxy that we were. Mm-hmm. And then my whole being just went, and then afterwards, when we spoke, the client, because what I mentioned to the client that I wish I had more information on Andromeda, she said, well, I just listened to a podcast recently where they were channeling an Andromeda being. And so she sent me the link this morning of the podcast, and I turned that thing on, and holy moly, you'll have to listen to it.
Yeah.
But, so this is just an hour and a half long interview with an Andromedan.
Wow.
Being channeled, and the information so marries with what was coming through in the QA, and far beyond. It explains things that I've experienced. It explains what we're going through as the human race. All I can say is I love it when the puzzle pieces start filling in, mm-hmm. and realize, okay, now I'm ready to hear this. So, but that's been, my wild, wacky day today is just discovering more about that, and how it ties into the biggest thing I'm getting out of it is that our nature, our Gaia, all of our plant life. Have you heard this? But it makes so much sense here. All of our plant life was brought here. We're basically a big greenhouse for the universe to store plant life, so that when they need specimens for other planets being brought forth here, we're the storage, we're the seed bank, we're the map. Yeah, so it was just incredible. Yeah, the variety of plant life and species, and how they've been the reason why we have so many different climates here, all the way from, arid desert, freezing cold, jungle, lush, in between. Some of those are natural climates, and some are manufactured so that they can keep those species alive, but how they're protecting all of them, and and a lot of information was given that I got today about how important, how that all these species, all this plant life, our gardens, everything we consume, it's on an equal level with us energetically, and it's a being, it's alive, and how to communicate with it, and how to allow yourself, for example, when you're consuming fresh food, how to allow that, because here's where I want to go. All the plants we are here in 3D, but plants have a 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, all the way up to 12D version of themselves. So a plant that you see outside, we see it in 3D, but there is a version for every single dimension within that plant. So that plant, the energetic seed of that plant can be taken to a 8D planet, and they see it as an 8D plant, if that makes sense. So mm-hmm. they'll see it than we do, but it accommodates. But this is the storehouse, or the greenhouse, for all the universe's plants. And it was just fascinating, and how we can take a piece of produce here, and we can actually, by lovingly talking to it, we can elevate that from 3D, for example, apple off your tree, up my tree, that can be elevated from 3D up to 6 or 7, 570 or beyond. It can be elevated so that we're consuming let's say 5, 6 produce and getting the nutritional benefits, the value, the nutrients that would be in those higher frequencies. So we have the ability to convert that from the lower.
Interesting. I've never thought of that, but it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
I've heard about that with water, and this is in they explained to this is why we were taught to pray over the food, because it was just basically you're blessing it and elevating it so that it is more beneficial to the body. But it just really honed in on how important it was to really be integrated with everything. Even they were talking about even the beings that are out there, the caterpillars, in the garden, just every insect, everything out there, how interrelated it is with us. And so they were explaining, even if you're going to, I grow calendula that I pick the flowers off of, and then I make it into an oil for skin treatment. And they said, before you pluck that flower off, you thank the flower for all that it's done to grace your yard, and then also all that it's going to do in the future product it's going into. And so as you're plucking it, or picking it or cutting it off, you appreciate it. And then it can further elevate. It elevates in frequency, and then whatever you do with it, whether it's consume in some way or use it here, it benefits you at a higher level. So yeah, does that make, or does that?
It makes a lot of sense. Actually, you're so interesting. Last night I was thinking, so I've never heard the idea of the plants being multidimensional and potentially being brought from other places in here, but it makes a lot of sense because I was thinking about this exact thing last night. And who planted the plants that are here? That was actually my question. And I had a client maybe last year who was a being who she said her responsibility was she brought seeds here to be planted on this planet. And it was actually very difficult. They had to work with the atmosphere. There was a very large team that went into getting these things to be able to live on the planet. And that just kept coming into my mind last night. And during that session, I assumed, oh, these are the creator beings who came here and built the whole planet. But then I just felt, no, that's not what she was. That's not what it was. And now that you're saying that, I realize they most likely brought their seeds or from wherever they were going and then brought them to this planet to bring whatever kind of life or to help it grow or maybe help the planet with the vibration of those plants. Now I wish I had asked all these questions.
Yeah. Well, they explained it took millions of years to get just the foliage. That was a multi-million-year process to get the foliage to, even the very beginning level it was that. So it's been a very late, and it was explained in this interview with the Andromeda that they have seeded I believe they said that they've created or seeded or overseen the creation of, I want to say, 7 other galaxies. They were a product of a galaxy forming them. That galaxy has now moved away, and then they've since, seeded, and if you want to call it birthed and nurtured 7 others. Were the last. The Milky Way is the last of them. I don't remember if this was discussed in the QHHT or on the podcast, but do you remember us discussing the merging of both the Andromeda galaxy and the Milky Way? Was that discussed in the QHHT?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, and this was reinforced too. And anyway, these galaxies are merging and will in the future. And so basically our ascension is necessary. Earth's ascension and humanity's ascension is necessary so that we can, because again, they're, 7th in dimension, and we have to be able to accommodate that. And so we're being elevated to that. And so it's just profound. It just is so much is explained about what we have here, and I love learning how to not only appreciate it for all it is, but also to further benefit from it and to have a healthy relationship with it. Not just, we've up to this point for the most part just disregarded anything, considered ourselves the highest of intelligence, and just taking control and mowed everything over and taken over everything.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
explaining how, yeah, when we decide to, mow something down or tear it down and create a shopping mall or a housing development, that they literally, have to, they have a team. It's another dimensional team that is guarding that area, protecting all the foliage, and they literally have to uproot and move all, they are, it's not on a physical level that we can see, so we aren't seeing trees plucked out of the ground and moved elsewhere, but they're taking the higher level dimensional frequency seeds from those. They have to move it to a safe place. So they said there's a lot of beings involved in protecting, whatever's growing in that area that's being mowed down by humans, destroyed by humans. And so there's a lot of work going on to save this garden. I keep hearing the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Eden. So it makes sense. These stories we have about the Garden of Eden, this is where they stored everything, and it was very protected. And I got more information today about what we know of here, heard of as being fairies, and that was discussed also and the QHHT, but how these are the beings that they come in many forms and shapes, but they're the ones who are, not the only, but they're a large part of the caretakers of the planet, of this, and just, all that they do and how they protect and how they're everywhere. And what really just tickled, I did just come back from a hairdressing appointment, and my hairdresser is just a beautiful, very tuned in gal. And I did early on in my QHHT training, she did a session with, and it came through that she was a fairy, that she and explains her personality to a T, and loves connecting with all things nature. And so she was delighted to know that that's a soul experience that she's had or is having. And as we talked today a little bit about some of the experiences I'm having, she just was just goosing out. She goes, "Oh my gosh, I feel everything." And so it's amazing. But these other dimensional beings are here to be stewards of the land and to help guide us so that we treat it well. But we're being shown how to be far more responsible and caring and loving of it, and how to respect it so that it stays.
Oh yeah, I would say many of the most recent sessions bring up the connection or the reconnection or the caretaking of the planet, the ascension of the planet, just the importance of deepening the connection with all the planet and the sun and all the solar systems. So it's just interesting because it happens like that, right? Where we have people who come in with the same information under hypnosis. And so that
it goes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And they don't know each other. They're not connected in any way. And I hope so, if I say, but we're having a planetary theme right now.
Yeah,
so
we are.
We're literally getting to learn about planets, and that planets actually have souls, and they are a living in themselves, a living being, and incredible. And what they share is so profound. But also, every experience that I've had with I love this, every experience that I've had with, in these hypnosis sessions with someone who's had an existence either as another being on the planet, or whether it's the planet itself, it's the most loving place. It's the most beautiful, loving, just enlightened. They don't deal with any of the stuff, and they'll talk about I'll ask about the differences and why they have surpassed, they've gone beyond, they've evolved out of this 3D, this is mine, that's yours, get away from me,
Yeah.
I'm hoarding, you can't have you're wrong and I'm right and I'm the only one that, none of that exists. It's just pure love and sharing, and just one for all for one. And I'm learning so much, I'm sure you are too, about how and easy this can be. And this is where we're going, those of us who wish to go, those who are headed toward 5D, which I highly encourage. It is going to be just the most incredible, blissful, serene, easy, fun, loving existence. And we've just experienced so many conversations about this that are just and you feel it, how do you in conversation with one of these souls or beings?
Yeah, you feel it.
I'll just have tears rolling down. It's just your body, my physical vessel just reacts because there's a craving. It's as though there's a knowing that you know what that is. And your body just is like, oh, it's like home, and I'll just start just oozing. And I don't fine, but there's a reaction that takes place where the body, just I'll ooze liquid out of my eyes, and just there's like in your heart, my heart will expand, and there's a deep rooted knowing that you're in some way familiar with that, and that's a beautiful thing. And I have never felt in any of these sessions, I've never felt even a snippet of concern or angst or fear, or it's been just the opposite. It's been just joy. To have these experiences and conversations, and a lot of fun, a lot of real funny, and as they get to discover, it is beautiful. But I look forward to what's to come with this. I highly encourage anyone that's at all curious about, where else have you existed? What else have you been? Who else are you? What else is available to you? Who you truly are and what you truly can do. This is what we get to discover in these sessions, and it's just absolutely beautiful, and so empowering.
A very good reminder too. I would love to go back through all our sessions and pull out the guidance that has been given to just humanity in general. I mean, a lot of them correlate and are the same, and it's very simple. And I think when we tell people ourselves that, oh, to raise your frequency, find peace, find joy, find your passion, they're like, okay, what? But that's what comes through all these sessions. And then sometimes there's practical ways that we're given to do that. And it would just be nice to go back and get the actual words that were said and compile them for people to have, whether you just need a reminder, because that's what we get. We get that reminder in those sessions that, oh yeah, it can be that simple. It is just loving nature and loving each other and loving ourselves and finding that joy, but then figuring out how to do that in our somewhat complicated lives and society.
I had a bunch of this last night. They were just offering more insight. Okay, here it comes. Okay, so what was shared with me was to survive. I shouldn't say survive, but that's what the word is. So to survive these next few years as we go through these massive shifts, and this is for day two, just even, because there's so many distractions going on. We have this 3D human life. There's a lot of things happening in our world and going to be happening. And there's a lot of, whether it's politics or economy or all these things that can be very distracting. And if you allow them, it's your choice. You don't have to. But it said to make it through, I'll say, rather than survive, I'll say make. So to make it through this evolution that we're, headed to, if we wish to, it says, stay in your heart and remember what you're really here to do. And then this will allow you to get past whatever episode you're in. So it could be you tap into somebody else's fear or the group's fear, or you got a hectic thing going on in your household, but just as much as you can get back. When this came through, it was so, again, simple and powerful. Just keep reminding yourself. I put my hand on my heart, if you can see there, but stay in your heart or get yourself back in there. When you're fussing about something, you're in your head. So get back into your heart. And there is one of our sessions I did on how to recognize that and how to, some techniques on how to do that. So go find that if you haven't listened to it yet, but get back in your heart and remember what you're here to do. And when that came through, I just went, oh, because that really, it helps you to stay the course. Remember what you're here to do, and the importance of that and the value of that. And it'll allow you to get past anything, because your mission is so enormous and so strong and so important. Everyone's mission in a nutshell is to maintain the highest frequency, and in doing so, it helps to elevate all of humanity and all of Gaia. And so it isn't as though we have one set job. We have to sit here and do what, maintaining that higher frequency, which is states of love and gratitude, just being grateful. It really is simple. It's as simple as just making, a habit, a practice of walking around. I like to do it outside because it's easier for me outside, but I go out and I'm grateful. I'll look at the plants in my, shrubs and plants in my yard, and I'll thank them for gracing my property and for all the beauty they provide and for the cleaning of the air and it almost feels like I'm surrounded by a little, army, if you want to call it. It's my protector.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel protected. And I'll talk to the plants and the trees, and I don't care what the neighbors think I'm doing, but thanking them. And I'll literally put my hands in, the flower pots, and I'll touch things. And if they're taller things, I'll put my hands on them and just be grateful. It elevates. I will feel so elevated doing that, and afterwards for a while. And you can do it indoors and outdoors. I just find it easier around plant life to do it quickly. But be grateful for, I got in my car today to drive to a hair appointment, and I was, I found myself compelled to be grateful for the car. And so I was thanking my car for all that it's provided me. And this is what I normally think to do, but so you can do that with anything. I'm grateful for the iPad that I'm on right now so that we can have this conversation. Be grateful.
As you're saying that, I was thinking, I understand for people who that process may be new for, or maybe a little cynical about, the best time to do that is when you feel like this won't work, or I'm too deep in my anxiety or my worry or whatever it may be. Because like you said, that when you tap into that gratitude, it can lead to love, and then that leads to peace that allows you to just be present. And it just washes away that stuff. And when you have anxiety or just lower feelings all the time, and you even get a brief moment to release that, it can feel magical. And then you just do it more and more, and you start to see that as a more consistent state of being than the anxiety and the heaviness. And I think we're going to see a lot of people, including ourselves, beginning to shift our environment too, to help create that space, to have that more often, of just being outside, having time to be grateful, to stare at flowers and trees and, play with your kids or whatever it may be out in nature. And
well, I'll be upfront. When I first started learning these techniques, it was a practice. It was a bit of effort and a practice. I had to, I took notes and I wrote things down that I was hearing about and that I wanted to do. And I had to make a conscious note. Okay, I'm going to do, just like if you were to brush your teeth or take a shower, I'm consciously going to do this. And I started doing it. But I found very quickly that as soon as I did it, as I raised, as I shared my appreciation, my love for all that was around me and sunk into that higher frequency, then the world around me, what I was seeing, began to change real quickly. And I had more to appreciate. This is how this works. So whatever frequency you're in, if you're in a frequency of I don't have enough, I'm lacking, this isn't what I want, this is not, I'm unhappy, then you're going to get more things to feel that way about. But if, can take whatever moment you have, or whatever little bit, there's always something you could, even if things don't look amazing, or even if they look dire, you can always find, there's always something you can be grateful for. Whether, what you're drinking at the moment, or a spoon of whatever you're eating, you can find something. You can be, anyway, anyone and everyone can make the conscious effort to feel, gratitude for something. And then I just baby stepped and inched my way up to that process. And it became, as I first felt better, and then I started to see external results. And then you want to do it more because, this is, I can see we create our outer world. We're creating it through our emotions and our feelings and our thoughts. And so I didn't want to be in that sad, lower realm. I didn't like the way it felt. And it was a little bit of effort, just to go through the motions. But when I did, I saw results pretty quickly, and then it's addictive. I didn't want to go back.
I was the same when I started receiving the messages about just focus on gratitude. I was in a place where my entire life was crumbling. So I really didn't have a lot. I had my kids and pretty much everything else I had lost. So, and even in those moments, it was like, just be grateful. So there were some days I'm like, I'm so grateful for my breath. I'm so grateful that I woke up today and got to be in this day. I'm so grateful that my children are here with me. Just little things that we take for granted or we forget about as we get caught up in our story. And similarly, I'll be in traffic and thinking about all the stressful things. And it's like, just go through your gratitude list. I had a list that I had written down to remind myself, like, that's how much I wanted to remember.
Oh, yeah. I used to do gratitude journals. I would write in the morning and the evening,
Yeah.
10 things grateful for and 10 things at night that you're grateful for that happened that day. And you get little practices, and it compounds, it adds up.
Mm-hmm.
Everything just starts to shift.
Yeah.
You don't look at the world the same way. And I too, my journey of awakening started in the deepest, darkest moments of my life, involving, my eldest son passed. I mean, I was in, a dire place, and mentally and emotionally. But this is how I got out. Yeah. And I've been very blessed that I've been able to travel to other parts of the world and to experience what other people live in. I've been to beautiful places, and also places that are very third world and shocking to look. I mean, and I was interesting is the happiest people that I've witnessed are in the most dire conditions. It didn't make sense to me when I first saw this, but how can somebody living in just squabble and garbage be smiling like that? But that's the world they know, and that's their choice to be happy. And that really implanted a very important message for me. It stayed with me. So what I do on occasion, it hasn't happened recently, but when I used to find myself, slipping out of the gratitude mode, or feeling like, oh, another tough thing happened. This is, how can I lift back up? I would have a flashback of a memory of being in a very, in a country in a very sad situation, and remember those smiling faces. And no matter how their circumstances were, they were little joyous kids and even adults that were just happy and at peace. And how we are in one of the most blessed countries that there are in this world, in this planet, and we have more available to us, and so we should be appreciative. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you've experienced other places in the world, we're very fortunate to be here. So and to have access to all that we do have access to, and so it's just a matter of perspective. But it's all I can say is I am so thankful and grateful for everything, and even the very, very toughest of moments, though, have taught me so much, and so I'm grateful for those.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I'm grateful for you.
Oh, well, I am. Thank you. But and I'm so grateful for all that we're learning through these sessions, and so these beautiful clients that come in, and they're seeking help from us, but they don't. I wish they really realized how much they also help us. And it's just a beautiful process, and so we're all here to assist each other on this amazing journey, and there is so much help for everyone that wants assistance. It's there. Just that, we're definitely, available for you here. If you're in our local area, come by and see us at Oasis of Light Center in Meridian, and we also have our online presence. But we just would love more and more to tune in and realize that there is a much easier way of existing, and a way to just literally live the life you came here to live, and to experience the love that you really are, and to understand your purpose. And so, but I can't wait to see what else they bring us, because
I know what it always kind of feels like. Okay, what's next?
I look forward to it. I mean, even though they are an energy shift and it's a lot to accommodate, but it's always been just incredible. I did have a wonky night last night, I will say. They woke me up early again, and so, but then it gave me an opportunity to do some beautiful energy work was done on myself, and so I feel amazing now. But there was definitely shifting that took place after that session, because it was.
Oh yeah, I'm still recalibrating. I may take a nap after this.
I might too. Well, they're just but like I said, they're showing that they're testing the waters, is what they're saying here. Is that we're just testing to see how we accommodate it. There's more they'd like to show us and give us. They just want to make sure that we're prepared.
Yeah. So,
I say I'm ready. I'll take it. I don't know about you, but
I think I'm ready. sometimes I get a little nervous. I mean, these experiences, the more you have them, you realize just this is real. I mean, if it's just so real. And I don't know, sometimes I will admit I get a little nervous of, okay, what's coming next? What lesson? What information? What? Because I feel like a responsibility in some ways of, okay, we're being given this information and this wisdom, and now let's share it, let's use it, let's apply it in our lives. And I trust myself to do that, but I want to do it to the best of the ability. So maybe that's a little bit of my perfectionism. So sometimes I get nervous because I'm like, maybe I need a break. But no, it's okay. I'm ready.
I've been asking too, and it's been helping. I've been asking I've been asking for my team to help me not only be able to handle this, but help me to know how to ready myself for it, how to take care of my vessel, how to, just how to, basically a how-to manual on how to accommodate this so that I'm the most comfortable or as easiest on this, because I do want to continue this experience and this work and assisting others in this way. But I also need to, I'm in 3D also. I need to accommodate being and be able to, I need to be able to do something. Oh, I did get, as I was listening to these two women on this podcast. Oh no, this was not that. This was last night. They had me on a Gaia program last night with a beautiful channel that was being interviewed by Alex Farrar from Next Level Soul. And this woman has channeled for like 25 years, and she answered a lot of questions that I've had about what happens when we're in these sessions in these states, like when we do our group sessions and things we experience. But where was I going to go with this? She was explaining what happens when we're in these states, and what happens with our frequency and how it affects us, and so much more. I'll have to go back. I'll have to have you listen to it, but it was explaining her evolution of how it first affected her in the beginning and even partway through, but then how it acclimated and how she, where it was easier. But as she continued to evolve, it was easier to accommodate it, to receive it and accommodate it and to bring it through. So we're in that, from the way she was describing it, we're just still in that in-between stage where we're getting used to, because you're taking in and dealing with different frequencies other than 3D. And this human vessel wasn't built for that. And so there's a lot of shifts and adjustments that take place. And that's why, she was going through infection symptoms and stuff, because in order to do this work, you've got to be ascending. And so the physical, she was just confirming all the physical stuff that my body's going through, and how interesting. So, but it was just a wonderful confirmation that we're on that path, on that track, and it sounds like we're doing things correctly. And just keep, as she said, just keep asking your team to guide you along to help you, and just take care of your vessel. So if you're feeling taken out, you do it.
Yes, I'm dead. That's what today I had all this to-do list, and I just felt like, nope, don't even do that, or you're going to have the same issue tomorrow of being really tired. You need to just literally sit today, whether you're reading or sleeping. I have the kids, so, but they're being great. We're just doing things and sitting and watching shows and playing inside. And that's just what it can be today.
What I want to share came back in through. So she was saying that when she started doing this work, or not started, but as she got into it, because she developed a pretty sizable business out of it. But she said, she talked about how she would feel things coming on before the sessions. So kind of like we talked about how there was some, prior to the session, there was the energy being raised, and she would have her physical sensations that she would feel. And then how high she was during the sessions. And I should clarify the word high. There's a sense of just love and elation. You just
like blissful.
Oh, you're in such a loving place. You're just, it's just it's euphoric almost. It's just beautiful. You're experiencing the higher frequencies, and there's just nothing but bliss and love in there. And it's beautiful to be in. And then it maintains for a while afterwards. So she was describing how she'd come home and she'd still be in this, place. And then she said, there's the come down. She was describing how it would almost feel like just depression would sink in. She goes, and she goes, I got to where she goes, I couldn't even wash a dish afterwards. She goes, I didn't want to do anything associated with basic daily house, responsibilities, or she goes, I didn't want to, I was so wanting and desiring of that state, that heightened state, that nothing else was important to do. I didn't want, she goes, I couldn't make myself do it.
Yeah.
We found a balance. So, and she didn't dip so low afterwards. So yeah, we were talking about that earlier, how there's like almost like the crash, and we have the physical sensation.
Crash. That's
it's, for those who don't know what we experience, and we love doing these sessions, but whether it's a QHHT, the quantum healing hypnosis, or whether it's energy work or at the healing circles, the following day you can wake up feeling like you've just been in a marathon or a train wreck, or your body, you can feel like you just wiped out. Yeah. Describe it. Just, it's like I can't even get my head off the pillow.
Yes.
Yeah, it's almost, well, and you've been, it's such a, well, what I think what happens for me is that you're in such a heightened frequency, and it's like you don't have a body, and I don't feel, with my age, there's physical sensations. I feel in my body, things ache, they creak, and during and after these sessions, I don't even have it's like my body feels like it's brand new, and I don't have any of that. I don't even feel the body like I normally do. There's no effort. I can get up and down and do things. There's no effort to doing anything. I remember one time I left a session and went over to the Home Depot, and I ended up going into the garden department, which I didn't plan on doing, but I was in there for like an hour. I was in there just literally having a party with the plants in the garden section. And I like 6 shrubs I had no intention of buying, and I was just hired a kite, but I was picking up massive, they were shrubs in big huge pots, these things that I normally can't lift. I was flinging shrub pots like there was no, they offered me help to get him out to my car. No, I've got it. And I got him up and I got him hoisted. There was everything was weightless. I had I remember walking out of the store going, how did I just do that? Because I'm pushing this cart just packed full of these heavy shrub pots, and refused their help or declined it, and got him into the car, got him home, got him out, and to this day, normally I can't lift those heavy things, but it was just, and then the next day, you feel
the crash.
Yeah. But it's really cold. You feel like, yeah.
What I've noticed more so when I would do sessions on my own, they were more sporadic. So I didn't notice when we do sessions together, sometimes I don't feel that crash. I feel the higher frequency come in. It seems like people who require more healing kind of work that we do. And then maybe I might feel a little sleepy, but it's not like I need to take a whole day. But then you have people like the session yesterday who, they're receiving frequency on top of what's already coming in. And I think it just gets really heightened, so that even yesterday, I noticed normally we walk around the client, and as we're doing the session, we're doing the energetic work with them. I couldn't get out of my chair. I thought, should I walk around this client? And I just felt absolutely not. Do not get out of your chair. And then I noticed you sat down and you were like,
well, did you see me? I shortly after I sat down, I'm not kidding you, my left nostril just began to sting, and then it was like a faucet was turned on. And I'm sitting here going, I can't sit here and drip. So there was a box of tissue across the room, and I went to stand up, and my hips were locked. It was, I don't know if you saw me, but I was walking over there going, I literally couldn't my hips to move. It was so strange. And I had to clunk my way back and sit back down. My body, no. And I did a little bit of, I couldn't, I did energy work with my hands, but it was from the seated position, and I didn't do as much as I normally do, because I literally, to lift the physical body was not, or to move it just wasn't. There was powerful stuff though. The flow coming through me was stronger than it had ever been with a client. So again, it's connecting. It was that 7th, that higher level, but it was, no, I couldn't. Yeah. And like I said, 2/3 of the way through, I kept hearing, just lay on the floor, just lay on the floor.
That's how I felt.
Like, but it was, yeah, it was amazing. I love the experience. It's just that we're learning as we go, and it's just powerful. But I'm grateful that we're given the opportunity to experience this and to learn. And so, if
Yeah.
anyone else feels like having an out there experience, or come see us.
Yeah. And if you're interested in our membership or our online content, we're on patreon.com/Oasis Light Center, or on YouTube at Oasis Light Center. We're on Facebook as Oasis Light Center. So feel free to, we have some events and other things that we share, like this video.
Ask questions, contact us here. We would just love to hear what you'd like to know or hear from. And so, oh, this is just incredible. Well, does this feel kind of like it's wrapping up, Sasha?
Yeah,
like
it's time for me to go chill.
Well, thank you so much for taking the day to do this. It's been just a joyous delight, and I know there's more to come. But and again, just love you dearly, and thank you to everyone that's again helping us build this community.
Yeah. Oh, I love you too. Have a good evening.
You too. Take care. See you soon.
You too. Bye.